you have got various products which you're not aware of. Now, the challenge is that we have got a lot of people who would like to advise us, though they are not qualified enough or certified to give you that advice. Now, if you talk to people, you'll have everyone coming and telling you that, no, no, do this. I have done this. I have made money. You can also make money. You should take this loan. You should not take this loan. So there are a lot of people who will give you those advices. However, what our job is to ensure that we make people understand that if you have to take the advice, take it from the right person, a person who is actually qualified and who can actually think about your benefit, not their own personal benefit. I can just quote an example here that when we go and watch a cricket match, Ashish, there are a lot of people who will be sitting in the fence and they'll say that, okay, if I would have been there, I would have hit that ball out of the boundary. But this guy never played cricket, right? In the similar way, you have a lot of people who would like to give you investment advice who have actually not invested themselves ever in their lives. So we would like to take care of these kind of challenges. Yeah.
That's a great analogy, Krishan. But isn't it a worrying trend then? Because now, if people are spending first instead of like saving and then spending, it's the cycle of reverse. Isn't it a worrying trend? Like,
So
won't
this is
this have
quite,
issues?
yeah, Ashish, this is very, very interesting. What is happening is if you look at Gen X, yeah, because Gen X are the people who would be in their 40s and they would be close to their 50 right now. These people never had a precedence or learning from anyone, right? Because our parents, our grandparents, they never did all those investments, etc. So whatever came to us, we tried, we tested, we failed, and then learned, right? So it was like we made mistakes and then we learned that, okay, something is right, something is not right. However, if you look at the current generation, which is Gen Z and the younger generation, which is coming out in the market, they have got a good amount of precedence from their parents. They actually have an opportunity to learn from them. And practically, they use media a lot. They use internet. They try to learn from other people. So that's why that knowledge is coming to them. So they are more thinking about savings rather than just thinking about spending. So there has been I would say, some amount of shift. But however, if you look at Gen X and in fact a lot of people in Gen Y also, they would be waiting for their salary every month. It's a very, very important question mark on somebody's living, because if you are waiting every month for your salary, which means that you are not able to manage your finances really well. And the situation is that probably finances are managing you, and which is worrisome for all of us. So I would say that yes, there have been some challenges, but yes, there have been some good number of people who had been doing that on a regular basis, and people have been learning it. However, the knowledge towards finances is a big challenge. Let me quote an example here. We have met a lot of people who are in the senior leadership in various organizations. They might be navigating their organizations really well. They might be managing their P&Ls really well. However, when it comes to their own personal finances, they struggle. So you might be an MBA, you might be a chartered accountant, you might be a qualified professional, did so many professional courses, but then also you are not able to manage your finances. So as I mentioned to you that we might be educated, we are not financially educated, and that's a bigger challenge to take care of.
Even CS, I mean, CS to knows number very well, right? No?
Yes, yes. So what happens is, Ashish, that there's a big difference between accounting and finance. Accounting is a process wherein we actually look at the current position or the previous position of an organization, right, on a particular date. However, finance and financial planning is more of a forward-looking function wherein you're talking about the future and the present, both. Right, so there the entire thought process changes. Majority of things which we teach in the financial planning program in our course practically is not being taught to us in our entire education system. So, to name a few, we cover the nuances of investment management and planning. We cover the insurance, retirement, and tax planning. We cover the estate planning and risk management. And then we ask people to actually prepare a real life financial plan before they write the final examination. So, you can understand that most of these areas are not being taught in the school education system as well as the college education system, as well as if you look at the university at the post graduation level and further, there is no knowledge which is being shared with people, though it is a life skill which all of us need to learn. So I think there are certain significant steps which we need to take at various levels to help people to understand this at an early stage in their lives.
And what is the reason like then schools are not teaching and people are learning from Instagram or TikTok or whatever Twitter these things, and these are not the right, they are the not right sources for the at least the newer generation. So why does this gap exist in the market in first place? So let's dive deeper. Like, why does companies like your are coming in to fill in this void? Why isn't like institutions, government taking steps, or are they taking such steps?
Thank you again, Ashish, for asking this question. In India, yes, we have been slightly delayed. We moved very fast in the last few years. If you look at the mutual fund industry itself, in the last 10 years, we have grown by 6 times. Yeah, from 9 lakh crore to 54 lakh crore. That's the way in which we have grown. However, if you look at the number of investors in the market, that number is pretty small, right? If you look at people preparing their budgets, hardly there's a survey which says that only 27% of the people prepare their own budgets during the year, right? So there are around 77% people, 73% people who do not do that. So practically what we have seen in the last few years is that the government has actually started thinking about it. They have started taking those steps. In fact, the boards are thinking about bringing it as a part of the education system and the curriculums. So there have been some delays. However, in the last few months, we have seen the Prime Minister talking about it as a life skill when it comes to finance. In fact, it is part of the UN SDGs also, the Sustainable Development Goals, right? Because if the individuals and families are not doing well, then how will you think about the society and the economy to go, right? So it is really very important for you to ensure that each individual in the society is able to do well, or the family is doing well. Then only you are able to think about the economy as well. So, in fact, I have seen that UGC chairman has spoken about it, that it needs to be brought in as a part of the curriculum. The AICT, if you look at the finance minister, she spoke about this being introduced in the school level, right? So there are some significant steps which government is trying to take, and we are there to support. We are very happy to bring in the global expertise as well as the knowledge which we carry, because this is something which has already become more or less compulsory in developed markets like US, Canada, Europe, as well as Australia, etc. So there it is part of the education system already. We have been slightly delayed, I would say, but yes, nevertheless, whenever you start, that's the point to start off and then move ahead. Yeah.
And you brought a very interesting point of this. I need to understand from you what is happening in this mutual fund industry space. Like, I was seeing data, 20,000 crores. I think last month or last to last month, they are collecting. And it was more actually, I think last month, around 30, 40,000 crores, some sort of huge number, right? So, like, what's happening? Like, everybody going SIP way, and doesn't it feel like? And I read statement of chairman SBI. She
Yeah.
was saying it's a froth in the market, right? So there are multiple angles, multiple things. People are saying different things, but at least SEBI chairperson knows better than most of us. I think so. But what's this happening like for 20,000, 40,000 crore? Then other side is saying there is froth in the market. Like,
I would not say that it is a fraud. We need to understand one thing, that, say, for example, 20 years back, somebody would have invested in a mutual fund, right? And at that time, like, nobody used to think about it that, okay, if I'm earning 100 rupees, I'll put, say, 5 rupees towards the mutual fund. If I did that for a period of 20 years, today I will have a very large corpus to look forward to. Why? Because of the power of compounding and the systematic investing which I have been doing. So what happens is, when we do investment systematically and for a longer period of time, we make money, which is very natural. Now, if somebody is thinking about a short-term gain in life, then only these are the people who actually burn their fingers, hands, and whatnot in their body, right? So practically, if you're thinking about investing for a small period, then coming out of it, then only you lose. However, what is happening is that not all the products would be the right products for us at this stage. So, for example, 15 years back, a particular mutual fund was launched. Let's say a scheme was launched, right? Somebody invested in that scheme. Say, for example, your uncle did that, Ashish. I'm just quoting an example here. Your uncle invested in a particular growth fund of a mutual fund company. That fund has given him 160% return in the last, say, 20 odd years. Do you think that you will also get the similar return if you invest in the same mutual fund today, say 20 years later? Not necessary, right? So
and
that's what we need to understand, and that's why we need financial planners who can understand your risk appetite, who can understand your needs, right? Who can understand how you are supposed to navigate your life goals, because it is more about defining your life goals, not about just the financial goals. Financial goals are part of the life goals, right? So your foremost thing is to define your life goals and then have the financial goals being associated with them, and then navigate them. And at every stage, every milestone, you need somebody to give you that guidance. Now, for example, if I have got fever, right? I will go to a doctor, right? I will talk to the doctor and then obviously take a medicine. And then say I have some other major problem, I'll go to a doctor and talk, right? So, uh, but when it comes to my finances, when I see those symptoms, so first symptom is that are you waiting for your salary every month? That okay, after 20th, you are thinking that when will 30th come, right? Then it's a symptom for you that okay, you need to get it cured, right? If, for example, you are already doing well and you have peaked on all your finances, then also it's a symptom that how do you make it grow further, right? So that's another area to look forward to. So both the sides, there are challenges. If you have more loans and your debts are becoming a burden on you, it is really very important for you to go to a doctor and a financial doctor. I would say that these people are actually the financial doctors. They can actually look at the wellness. And when I say wellness, it means that they will be more proactive rather than being reactive for the individual. They will create that plan and help them navigate that. Most of the times, what mistake we do is that we think that if I go to a consultant, if I go to an advisor, I need to pay money to them. But then remember one thing, that whatever money we pay to these advisors, yeah, the cost towards it is much. Somebody has got kids, more kids, so life completely changes because of that. And sometimes you might inherit some kind of a good amount of money from your forefathers, etc., and which you had never thought of. Right? Then how do you manage all such situations? Is something for which you need a certified financial planner.
So this sort of makes me think then, what are the top two or three mistakes people generally make? If you have some instances or some financial mistakes people like tend to um, make during their financial planning, if you can help us understand and highlight those issues.
So, couple of things, Ashish, and this is a very, very important question. Let me quote an example here. That say somebody who completes his MBA at the age of say 22, right? He gets his first job as a placement from the campus. This boy gets say a package of 15 lakhs per annum. Okay, joins the organization. A couple of days later, a credit card company guy comes and he issues a credit card to him, and he takes the credit card very happily. By the time he has got his first salary, the parents and everyone is putting pressure on him that, okay, we have been staying on rent for a very long time. Can you buy a house right now? And this boy thinks that, okay, let me do that. And takes a house on loan, right? Credit card is already taken. There are a lot of other expenses which he does from that credit card. The loan which is already on the head. His salary is say at 15 lakhs, you would get hardly say 90,000 or 95,000 after all the deductions, right? Or maybe less than that. Now, with that salary, he will not be able to think about planning for the investments, planning for the future, right? He or she would like to wait for some time and thinks that, okay, by the time I touch, say, 28 or 29, at that time I'll think about it. But by the time he or she is 28, 29, though he might have changed his job, his salary might have increased, but then he gets married at that age, and then his expenses go up further. And then say he thinks that okay, I would like to do it by say 32, 33. By then he has kids. Now he's thinking about kids' education and the other things, and the savings are towards that only majorly. Practically, because of this, what happens is a 22-year person, okay, takes at least 20 years to think about the investments, because by the time he is 41, 42, then only he is able to repay all these kind of debts, etc., right? And because of this, what happens is this person has lost 20 precious years of his or her life. For example, the 10,000 or 15,000 or 20,000 rupees which you are paying as a EMI, and say you add the rent to it, whatever rent you are paying, if you would have invested that money and made that money grow in 20 years' time, the kind of corpus you would have created is amazing. Like, for example, just one example I'll quote. When you buy a car, most of the times people feel that if I buy a car, it's a asset for me, but practically it's a liability. Because say you buy a car today, 5 years later the depreciated value is much lower than what it was. Now, for the same amount of money, if you would have invested that money in gold, say for example buying jewelry for your wife, that gold would have grown by 5 times or 3 times, whatever, right? So practically, and this is what we have seen happening in the market. But then I'm not saying that all the things are right here, because buying a car is also important for someone, right? So you have to drive, and then you have to reach your office and wherever you want to go. So all those things are important. However, the first mistake that we do is that we actually just go ahead and spend what we earn. Instead of that, we should always think about keeping some money for savings, for investments, and also for emergency, right? Emergency fund keeping is a very, very important area. Most of the people realize the importance of emergency fund during pandemic, right? They started asking about it, that I did not do it. I never thought about it. Or maybe when people lose jobs, then they practically think about the importance of emergency. We need to have a corpus of say 6 months or 1 year of our salary, or maybe in case we are entrepreneurs, 1 year of the expenses and the salaries that we need to pay to our employees had to be kept as an emergency fund. Otherwise, we'll be in trouble, right? So most of the people make that mistake. People don't buy insurance early in life thinking that nothing will happen to me. That's another myth, right? Whether you're young or old, hospitalization can happen anytime with anyone. It doesn't matter what age you are, right? So it is really very important for you to have those health insurances, your term life coverages, and all those things starting at an early age, because when you are young, you pay a lower premium. When you grow older, then you pay a higher premium. So it is always advisable to start early so that in your rainy days, you have an umbrella to take.